Hello, everybody. This is Alex with the Somewhat Podcast Men. Today's topic is gun regulation. Ooh, yeah! Today we have a guest. Today we have a guest on the show, Big O. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Big O has 10 years of experience in purchasing firearms for state law enforcement. So again, like we've said in our last show, we're bringing you people with expertise who have experience, who are knowledgeable. We're trying to protect everybody's name and info and all that good stuff, but we are bringing experts on the show. So
yeah, I think
let's get into it.
I think Big O looks like he just came from the battlefield in Afghanistan. You know, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. All right.
Thank you.
Risky?
Big O's hat, man. I mean, like, what? I mean, if this guy is not an expert, then who is? Who is?
Yeah, just to buy the hat alone, it makes him an expert.
Just the hat and the shades.
It does.
I like it.
I mean, that's it, man. What can I say?
Thank you.
Let's get into it.
Risky,
Alex,
do you want to start us off?
Well, I'm gonna ask, like, Big O, like, you know, in your experience, you know, as a, like, what exactly did you do, and just, if you want to tell the viewers, like, you know, a little bit about
Right. So basically, I did all the purchasing for the law enforcement agency. So all of the equipment, the firearms, the rounds, the
Okay.
less lethal type stuff, everything. So I have a lot of experience with what they used, you know, how many rounds they used, what type of ammunition, what type of weapons, that type of thing. Not only that, I have a few guns of my own, you know, I hunt as well. So,
You're an avid sportsman.
Right.
Which one's your favorite gun?
It has to be the AR. It would be my favorite.
Have you customized it quite a bit?
Yeah. I got a few that I have and a few that I need to finish building. So yeah, I guess I'm a collector.
Well, since you like the AR, I think this is going to be a good conversation about the gun control then.
Yeah. So what are your feelings about current gun regulation? Let's get into that. Like, what are your feelings about current gun regulation, and do you think there's room for improvement or no?
Honestly, I think current gun regulation is fine. I mean, we have gun control now. You know, whenever I go and purchase a firearm, you know, it gets shipped to the store. I usually buy online. It gets shipped to the store. I got to go in, give them my license, and do a background check. It comes back, and then, you know, I take the weapon home after I pass the background check. You know, if I have a concealed weapons license, so I don't have to wait the 3 days. But I had to get fingerprinted and tested on that, you know, in order to be a concealed carry person. So, you know, I think the gun laws are adequate in order to, you know, keep the crazies out of the system and prevent them from, you know, purchasing as best as it can.
Now, each state has its own laws, though, correct? I mean, so
yeah,
so there's gonna be like So your expertise is specifically with the state of Florida. Is that
Florida, yes.
Got it.
Right.
Now, have you seen like have you seen any, like, trends, like, during your time, you know, like, as far as, like, you know, certain guns being purchased more or less, you know, things like that?
Yeah,
Have you
like
noticed any trends?
honestly, whenever a Democrat gets voted into the White House, there's a slew of not just AR-15s, but everything. Like
Really?
ammo has been ridiculous to find, and the AR-15s and the imported weapons have went up whenever Biden got into office. Same thing happened with yes. Whenever Obama was in office, it was the same thing, and there was even bigger ammo crisis whenever he was in office. And usually, whenever there's a bad shooting, And when they start talking about gun control, then you see an uptick in magazine purchases and ammo purchases and weapon purchases. That just skyrockets.
So, I mean, in a sense, like, if for the gun manufacturers who make a lot of money off of these sales, so they'd probably like it when, at least for a short period, a Democrat comes into office, because their sales go up, buddy. And then also,
they're, they're the
in a sense.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I've got a question, and because in my circles we talk about this a lot. There's a lot of 3D printed guns that are circulating, and they're small handheld single shot guns. Some of them are double shot guns, and I wanted to tell my viewers, it's not just regulating the guns we're talking about. People can obtain plastic guns and use them as a lethal weapon. And I think the federal, the FBI has really put a big investigation on that, how to curtail this issue, because 3D printing is pretty common in the United States right now. You can pretty much just download the blueprint and print it in your house. So have you come across any of these, like the 3D printed guns?
No, I think the 3D printed guns is a bunch of bull crap. Like you can print out maybe the base or the grip or something like that, but a fully functioning weapon, shooting, the gun is high pressure, right? And it's basically a mini explosion that you're going to have to go through that polymer. So unless you have some kind of badass 3D printer that you're spending thousands of dollars on, it'll be cheaper for you to just buy the gun.
I agree. I think I also saw some videos circulating when the bump stock, when they banned for the AR-15, that kind of gave it the, almost a fully automatic feel to it. And that was being done through the 3D printers too. They were making that little thing, would go right behind the trigger, and it'll just make that trigger shoot. Yeah.
Now, Big O, I got a question. So you're a sportsman and you hunt and whatnot, right? Is an AR-15 used by hunters?
That's my go-to weapon when I go to deer hunt, especially when I run dogs.
Oh, really?
So you have to think the AR-15 comes in multiple calibers, right?
Okay.
So we'll call it like the OG AR-15, the 5.56 NATO. You wouldn't use that, to deer hunt. But I have a 300. It's a 7.62 by 35. So I use that, to deer hunt. And how we do it, we run dogs, so the dogs are running after the deer. And a semi-automatic weapon gives me the best opportunity to down that deer, right? Than any other weapon would.
What other guns are typically used to hunt you? As you can tell, I'm not a hunter or sportsman. I'm not into guns.
Right. So it depends on what you're doing, right? So if you're still hunting and you're in the stand, you probably want either a shotgun or a bolt action, right?
Bolt action? What's a bolt action?
So it's you pull the trigger and then you're racking the next round in. So all the pressure's, coming out the end of the barrel. So you're manually re-racking.
Yeah, think of an old school gun from the West where it's a rifle, but you got to pull back on it.
Right. So anything long range, or I have time where the deer's coming up to me, right? Or whatever you're hunting is coming up to you. That one shot, you don't really have a whole lot of time for multiple shots. So if it's moving faster, you want a semi-automatic, so you're not having to re-rack the round in and keeping your target within the sights, because when you're hunting, we have to make sure that the points on the deer is the right points. It's the right size deer. It's a male to begin with, right? And it's running at 30 miles an hour. So I got to make sure that all those rounds are in a safe direction, and I'm shooting at the right spot on the deer as well.
And that's because hunting is regulated state to state, right? You can't just go out and shoot
also
any kind of animal.
exactly, and that's the smartest thing to do if we want to continue to hunt, not to deplete everything out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the idea of gun regulation comes from, I guess, the desire for politicians to lessen the amount of shootings that are happening in the country, right? So my personal opinion is that when there's mass shootings or like gang-related shootings in the inner cities or in major cities, the reaction from the politicians is automatically to go into gun regulation because that's their cover, right? The Democrats and the left side point to the gun issue, which they deem as a problem, and the Republicans on the right side will point to mental illness as an issue, which they use as a cover, political cover. So both sides are using political covers to kind of cover themselves. But for purposes of this conversation, what do you think about the Democrat left side push to gun regulation? Are they trying to regulate the right guns? Are their regulation that they're trying to push is the right type of regulation? And what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't think it's the right type, because they always talk about assault weapons, right? And I'm really not sure what that means, right? So they have to figure out what they define an assault weapon as. But if you look back through the statistics, we'll say AR-15, right? So they trying to get rid of the AR-15, but the AR is just a sliver of the gun violence that happens, right? So they want to start with that. So once something happens, this, for an example, there was a school shooting in Colorado during the Brady Law, right? So the assault weapons were banned. The AR-15, AK-47s were banned, right? So pistols were used, right? So if that happens, are they going to ban pistols next, right? In the 60s, there was a guy with a bolt-action rifle that killed 14 people, right? Is that next? Texas, yeah. And, a person on a water tower with a bolt-action rifle could be extremely deadly, right? So we need to be careful.
I think wasn't Kennedy got shot with a bolt rifle?
Yeah,
Italian bolt action rifle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
that thing fired faster than the AR-15 today.
But
yeah.
Hey, Big O, let me ask you about in terms of background checks. There's also talks, that they talk about strengthening, universal background checks. What are your thoughts on those?
The only way for them to enforce universal background checks is to have a gun registry, which I'm not for at all. And the reason they want to push that is so they can ultimately ban certain types of weapons or all weapons. And then we have 400 million firearms in the country, right? And that's only the guns they know about. That's not talking about the guns that are not sterilized. So I'm totally
a lot of guns. A lot of guns.
So I'm not wanting the government to know what I have so they can come to my house and try to take, what I'm going to use to defend myself and defend my family if, the need comes.
Yeah, but you get pushback from the Democrats saying that this is necessary regulation. We need this regulation in order to protect the country. There are people who are dying in the streets. Yeah. There are kids who are dying in schools. We need to do something. So that they would say that lining of response is not adequate to to the needs of the country at this point.
I think that's a cop out.
Let me ask you all of us here. I know the answer to this question because I'm asking, so I already have the answer in my head. But does any of us here trust the politicians that are in power right now?
No,
absolutely not.
Riz?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then you need guns to protect yourself.
Yeah, straight up.
It's from them.
Yeah. Look at it this way.
What?
Well, that's the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I mean,
why do you think? Yeah,
but
you're laughing, but that's
the
the Second Amendment.
That's fine.
The people
You're all entitled to your opinion. You're all entitled to your opinion. We're all entitled to our opinion.
The whole issue, with these gun shootings and the gun control, it's like you're slapping the wrong cheek when talking about the issue. We're not talking about the issue, and we're talking about completely something different. And that, we fixed this, and it's gonna stop that. No, dude. The psychosis of the people. Why is it happening? Those people are getting angry. All right. Hell, if he can't find a gun, he's gonna make a spear out of a sharpest knife and go kill as many as he can.
Exactly.
There's still assaults in prison,
Saint,
right?
Prison's the most secure area, and there's still murders in prison. So
that's true.
You're not going to stop that.
Yeah, you're not going to stop. But Saint, you can't kill like 40 people in 10 seconds with a spear.
It's still gonna kill.
I'm just giving you a comment. Well,
but here's the
thing.
The
point is also about access. Saint, chill. The point is also about access.
Oh, no. The shootings are happening in schools. No. Let's bring it right back to the root of the whole issue. Yeah. The shootings are happening in schools. Why are kids going psychotic, man? Why are the kids becoming psychotic? Tell me that. Why?
That's a societal issue.
Exactly. You just said
exactly. So
it's not a gun issue.
It's
not a gun issue.
Weapons.
Yeah.
No. The gun issue. The gun issue comes to like, okay, we're living in a country where the sick society, where more and more kids feel alienated. So you want to make it easier for them to get weapons.
It is not easy to get a weapon. I can't get a weapon that easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah. It depends.
Have you tried getting a gun? Go try it.
Why should I? I don't believe in guns. I don't care.
That's not the issue. We're talking about an experiment. We're talking about an experiment.
You asked me a question.
This is a risque beatdown.
No, it's saying chill out, dude. No, I don't need to get a gun.
Okay. Hey, Alex, don't put fuel on the fire now. No beat down. I'm asking him. We were just talking, having a conversation, and the thing is, obtaining a gun, especially these days, it's not that easy. At least not in Florida. I'll tell you that. I don't know how Georgia's.
But it's compared to like other countries, though. Like if you look at how it is to get a guns in, say, the UK.
Well, let's not go to Europe though. That's
by the way, no. Let me give. We should though because.
Oh boy.
Sweden actually has pretty good gun laws.
Hold on. Risque. Before you get into that. So Saint was saying to try to get a weapon so you can understand how difficult the process is to get one.
Uh-huh.
And like Big O, can you talk a little bit about that? About how actually difficult it is to purchase a weapon? Can I go and get a weapon right now from Walmart?
No. So none of you are concealed carries, right?
No.
Nope.
Right. Okay. So you're going to buy the weapon online. Let's say you go online, you put in your credit card, they charge your credit card. You have to ship it to an FFL dealer, right?
It's not a same-day delivery?
No. It goes to the dealer. You go through an NCIC background check that goes to the federal government and looks through all your history and then all your background, and then it comes back whether you're gold or not, right? Whether you're good to go. Once it comes back that you're good to go, you pick it up in 3 days.
And what's the process to get a concealed carry?
Concealed carry, you have to go through a shooting competency test where you're firing at a range. You pay for your fingerprints and you submit the application to the state. They send you a card after a month or two.
What if you want to purchase guns from like those like private sellers or like a show?
That's a good question. Yeah.
So gun shows is what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So if I go to
private sellers.
So private seller, like if I go to Alex here, Alex has a Smith & Wesson handgun I want to buy, right?
Yeah.
I can go up to him and give him cash and get the money, get the gun from him, right?
Is there any kind of transfer of weapon paperwork involved or anything like that? Nope.
None of that's needed. No.
So what about the serial number on the gun now? Like it was that's a registry we're talking about initially.
Right. There is no registry.
Okay.
So whenever you purchase the firearm, so you buy the firearm new from a FFL dealer, they write that serial number down, right? So technically, that gun is registered, to whoever initially bought it, right? But here's the thing: the likelihood of me selling a weapon to somebody I don't know, I'm not doing that, right? Because I'm not putting myself out there to.
Yeah, but
with
that
that
it
much,
raises the same
risk.
question.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know.
Yeah, but Big O-
even some of my friends can go nuts sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but Big O, you might be responsible and all, but like, can you say that in this country, like a lot of people are responsible? Can you honestly say that?
I imagine there's some
Come on.
shady activity going on.
Yeah, let's be real here.
Yeah, but we're
But
also
the
looking
thing
at
is-
400. Sorry, go ahead, Big O.
Yeah, so you're saying 400 million weapons in the United States.
Yeah.
And also, in order for us to be able to track all of that, you need a gun registry, which is
Right.
That's not going to fly.
There's something I
So-
do want to bring up. There's the same line of thinking when it comes to firearms, as well as when they were after 9/11 and the invasion of Iraq, when they were talking about Muslims in the United States, right? So the main line was this, right? This was the main line. All Muslims aren't terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims, right? So that was their main bullshit line that they used to use, right? So it's the same type, it's the same style of thinking, right? All
Right.
mass shootings are all guns don't do mass shootings, but all mass shootings are done by guns, right? Or all mass killings are done by guns. So it's the same line of thinking in trying to blame an item that has no soul, no power to work on its own for the issues that are going on in the world, and blaming an entire society for all the issues that are happening in the world. So for me, that line of thinking bothers me because it's the same line of thinking that they used, that bigots used after 9/11 and the invasion of Iraq.
Yeah, absolutely
Well,
right.
Well, yeah, but on the second hand, though, as Muslims, though, we're being monitored, so don't even think that we're not.
I get that, but that
Don't even.
Yeah.
I mean, don't even
with
kid
the-
yourself. Don't even kid yourself about that. But anyways, go ahead.
with the
Yeah.
AR-15 and those type of weapons,
Yeah.
semi-automatic box-fed weapons, that
Yeah.
gives me the best chance to defend myself, right?
Right.
So for me, I've learned that I can't outsource my own protection, right? We saw what happened to the school in Texas, right, where the officers stayed outside of the school, and then we saw what happened when the riots happened, and things were getting burned down, and the cops were nowhere to be found, and especially for where I live in rural areas, if I call the cops and some guys in white sheets are sitting at my house, it's going to take them 30 to 40 minutes to get to the house. I got something for you. You know what I'm saying? We can't
Yeah.
outsource our own protection. I'm gonna look out for my best interest and my family's best interest.
Right. I
and-
think but Big O, like let me add another layer to this, because honestly, like I've been following this gun debate for a long time now, and I've been following it, and it's not, to me, there's like, even like in terms of the most stringent proposals that I've seen from the left have been ban on assault weapons, I think, right? But no one has ever talked about taking away your guns. I mean, to be honest with you.
What?
I mean, you like. I know there's that
that's
slip.
not
I know that, but I know there's a slippery
What's that
slope
guy?
argument.
It's a pretty
guy that
slow.
running for
Slippery
Beto
slope.
O'Rourke.
Vito.
Yeah, it-
Yeah,
there's a-
Beto O'Rourke.
But I know there's that slippery slope argument that they use, but when Obama came into office, I still remember this, that the right wing nut jobs were convinced that the guns were going to be all taken away. And anytime like a left wing president comes into power, that's the same paranoia seems to kick in.
You
I
know
mean-
why that is? I can describe the psyche, and I think I said this before. It's because
Yeah.
they want to start with the ban of the assault weapon, whatever that is. You have to define what an assault weapon is, and
Yeah.
you're taking the definition from politicians in Washington that can't define what a woman is.
Even
Like-
a crossbow, even a crossbow assault weapon, even a bow and arrow is an assault weapon. You're
Yeah,
committing.
the revolver. How about a revolver?
Yeah,
How about a dog?
7 shots.
yeah.
7
A
shots.
dog is
Dog,
assault
there you go.
weapon.
Assault dog. Yeah. So
about
what's an assault?
But I wanted to ask Big O about the NRA. What are your thoughts on the NRA? I mean, do you think that they speak for gun owners?
Not 100%. I think
Correct.
that they are the largest advocacy gun rights
Yeah.
group. But I mean, I don't give them any money.
Wait a second. Do you think they speak more for gun owners? Do you think they speak more for responsible gun owners or for gun manufacturers? Simple question.
I think I'll tell you no.
Yeah.
They're just the biggest lobbyists for their own pockets and
their own pocket,
yeah.
brother. They're a lobbying organization that makes money off of lobbying in DC. So
it's, in essence, if they're lobbying for the manufacturers, they like it when the gun sales increase, right? That's kind of their job.
You're mischaracterizing something, right? Like the NRA is just a boogeyman. Like the left created them into a boogeyman. What they are essentially is exactly what Saint said. They're a self-serving organization that makes money off of lobbying.
So how did I mischaracterize them? I just told you what I said.
None of us are fans of the NRA. Trust me. None of us are.
Manufacturing.
You just basically said my point, man. So
one thing they do
go ahead.
is
you just want to disagree with me, but that's fine.
Riz came back with a smackaroo.
Yeah.
Don't put fuel on the fire, huh, Saint?
One of the gun control things the left is trying to do is hold the gun manufacturers responsible for what the owners of those guns do. So I think the NRA tries to fight that as well, which is bullcrap. Nobody's blaming Ford for drunk drivers, right? So that's
I'm pretty sure drunk driving kills way more people than anybody. I guess drunk drivers are all assault weapons, right?
I would think so.
Hey, let's get into Europe. Risque, you were talking about Europe. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that there's actually a country in Europe which has very high rates of gun ownership, but they have shockingly low rates of mass violence and violence.
Yeah, Europeans are kind of not.
And the reason, and a part of it is if you look at what the process is in order to get guns there. I mean, they really make you go through proper training, education, but I also think it's a cultural thing. Honestly, I think Americans are just violent people in general, and I think the society is just getting. I mean, just from a psychological standpoint. I mean, I think Sweden is like they respect guns in a different way. Americans, or Switzerland, sorry. In America, like I think people think they resort to guns as like a means of trying to solve their problems. Like that's their first resort, oftentimes. I feel. But anyways,
yeah,
there is a certain anger in the core of the people for some odd reason.
Yeah, it's a different mindset here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure we can have a show, and we've had a show talking about the psychology behind mass shootings, why we think they happen, and what we think we can do to prevent them. But if we want to compare Swiss gun regulation to U.S. regulation, I think the Swiss model is a good model. You know, like
it's never gonna be accepted here. It's never gonna be. No, that's like shoving.
What's wrong with training? What's wrong with training? What's wrong with And
I'm just telling you.
So I can tell you what's wrong with training right now. The cost of ammunition. make that cheaper. I have weapons I haven't fired because I can't pay for the ammunition.
But you know when you mentioned the ammunition, it reminds me of this Chris Rock joke. You guys watch Chris Rock?
Yeah, where I get them on layaway.
No. He said like how Chris Rock says like what's the best way to like reduce violence or killings?
Make the bullets expensive.
Make one bullet $20,000.
Yeah,
he goes that if that person uses a bullet, that the guy deserves it.
That is actually the smartest freaking thing.
Yeah.
And it is. You make the bullets real expensive, but
I think they tried that. They tried it. Whenever Obama was in office, we were doing the government was purchasing massive amounts of ammunition, right? To where even working where I was working, I was having a hard time filling the quota that the law enforcement agency needed. because the post office was buying hollow points.
Wow.
So you think it was the federal government trying to increase the cost of bullets, the cost of
I have
ammunition?
they didn't
If you had to
come
guess.
out and say that, but I have no doubt that that's what it was, because the
Hmm.
suppliers I was talking to, they were 6 months lead time, and they said the government was just dropping massive amounts of ammunition orders.
It's smart. It makes sense. It makes sense. In order to reduce the amount of shooting, you increase the cost of ammunition in order to
Well,
you
people
couldn't,
from
you
buying.
couldn't find it. Yeah, you couldn't
you know,
find it.
and you know what else has been effective in reducing the rates of cigarette smoking? The price of cigarettes have been going up. You know,
Yeah,
that's actually
taxes.
shown to reduce the amount of people smoking. So,
Yeah, but people
Price
switch to
versus-
vaping anyways. They know cigarettes are boo-hoo now.
all right.
So something I did want to bring up is
Yeah.
that I went to high school in a large city, and there was a room in the basement that nobody knew it was for. So we used to walk down there and kind of try to look into it and see what it was, but we really couldn't figure it out. Turns out that this was a gun range where there used to be a firearms club in the high school in the 1950s and 60s. So the high school itself had a firearms club to teach safe shooting, safe gun ownership, gun accuracy, all that, shooting accuracy, all
Yeah.
that stuff. And the federal government took out those clubs and those groups in public high schools after JFK was shot. So maybe we.
No, we don't need it. Trust me. The psychos, you're just preparing a lot better to shoot and not miss their target. I know where you were going, so I just wanted you to come off that road right away.
Because it's the Swiss model, you know what I'm saying? It's the Swiss model. Like maybe,
Listen.
I think that would help with the gun safety part of it, if everybody knew how to operate the firearm in a safe manner.
Have you
had less
have you
people
ever
shooting
had
themselves.
Swiss cheese and the American yellow? Have you ever tasted? The Swiss tastes better. There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's the
there's two
reason?
different mindsets we're talking about, man. You cannot put the Swiss cheese into the American yellow. It's not
Yeah.
gonna work.
Got you.
Two very different cultures. That's for sure.
There probably wasn't so many crazies in the 50s. So
Yeah.
I
I don't
think
know. I went to school with everybody that had a gun rack in the back of their truck, and
I think
the gun was.
media
at the
definitely
school.
has a hand in encouraging the anger issues we are having in the country, though.
say that again, Big O.
Yeah.
I said when I went to high school, everybody had a gun rack in the back of their truck with their hunting rifle, and they would park it, of course, at the school,
Yeah.
and that was never an issue.
There's also some parts of the country that are more culturally inclined towards firearms.
Yeah.
Maybe we need. So the problem is that state by state regulation, doesn't prevent weapons from crossing
Right.
borders,
State
right?
lines. Yeah.
A weapon or somebody trafficking it doesn't care if this side has a regulation or
Right.
that side doesn't. So, but there is something to be said for each state allowing its own, counties to regulate. Because Atlanta proper should have different gun regulations than a county that's 4 hours north of them. So
Is there a bare minimum federal regulation on gun that all the states follow on the federal level at all?
I don't believe so.
So basically,
Well,
the federal
like
government's
class
given.
three,
maybe what?
class 3 weapons.
Class
You know,
3.
yeah, that's fully automatic and suppressors.
Oh, I see.
So I guess so. The federal government's really not put any what you call tedious efforts into the state laws, which I guess kind of makes sense because state to state, yeah. Like New York. So, what's your thoughts on what just happened in New York with the gun control?
Well, you have to think about what the law and why they struck it down. Basically, they struck it down because you had to ask permission in order to have a right. So, which of the Bill of Rights do you need the government permission to justify why you have it? So I think, rightfully so, that law was struck down. And then you also have to think New York City and New York State are two totally different animals, right? So carrying a weapon in New York City down Broadway, is different than being upstate New York.
Yeah, I guess I think after 9/11, they really did change a lot of things down there. Yeah, from Manhattan and in the state. Yep, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the lawsuit was from two men that were in upstate New York, and
Yes.
And the state had kind of blanket gun regulation based on the needs of a large city. And I can tell you, New York City does not need to have weapons. Like, they should not. Period.
No. If we're talking about
They don't have
anger
the
issues,
culture. Yeah, they don't have the culture to own weapons.
there is
They're-
no courtesy over there, dude.
Yeah, no. There'd just be a bunch of, guys who shooting each other over freaking cutting somebody off in the lane, man.
Big O, maybe you can educate the viewers, who have guns on what proper gun safety, techniques there might be.
Okay, so proper gun safety. The first, I guess, rule of thumb for gun safety is to always treat the weapon as it's loaded, right? So it's always loaded. You always point it in a safe direction. You never put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to fire the weapon. You also want to make sure that any kids that live in your house, or anybody that lives in your house, understands what the weapon is. That it's a weapon, not a toy, right? And that you secure it as well. And usually when something happens, it's not the kid that lives with you. It's one of his friends or somebody that comes to your house that takes the firearm, and they don't understand how it operates and whatever, and either injures themselves or injures another person. So make sure your weapons are locked up and away from little hands.
Now, do you have kids?
Yes.
So how old are they?
I got one. He's 14, so little O can go to the gun safe, and he knows how to.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows how to operate all of them, and
Okay.
he understands, even from since he was 2 years old. He understood. All right, I can't touch this without Dad. Even his little BB gun that he started off with was always you got to point it in the right direction. Don't put your finger on the trigger. You got to teach them early. That way they take that habits as a kid into adulthood.
Right. What age did you start teaching them?
Like 2-3 years old.
Oh dang! he's bright baby.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's
the
little Red Ryder BB gun.
I got you.
That's what he started off with.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the idea for teaching kids that early is so they don't think it's a toy and potentially
Exactly.
hurt somebody else. That's really what it is. They're I don't think anybody's teaching a 2-year-old how to hunt deer.
Right.
Right.
The idea behind it is the idea behind it is to so they know that this is a no. You don't touch it. You don't use it. You don't shoot it. This can hurt somebody really badly. So.
Now, do you keep for gun safety? Should people keep the bullets and the weapon separate, locked up, or is there any thoughts on that?
It depends on what they're doing. My concealed weapon is always hot and ready, right?
Hot and ready, that's like little Caesar's pizza, man. What are you stealing their hot and ready?
And I have a few magazines that are ready in case something happens. Depending on what I'm looking at.
And magazines, you ain't talking about like Vogue or Cosmopolitan, now, are you?
No, I'm talking about
I got you.
The rounds. Yeah.
High capacity. Gotcha. Clips. Gotcha.
Right. So either the AR or the shotgun. I have the drum mags for the shotgun. So
got it.
If I got a lot of people, we can drop some weight. Yeah.
All right. Good tips for any of the viewers that are into guns or have guns. Please practice gun safety, because I think it's very unfortunate when you hear about like an accidental death. Over the fire.
Yeah, totally
Always tragic.
preventable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fully
it's
preventable.
totally
Yeah.
preventable. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
lock your stuff up, especially with kids. And it's usually not the kid that lives in your house. It's the one that you invited over and you forgot you left the pistol under the couch. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
lock your stuff up.
Very important. Very
Yeah.
important.
Before we close out, there was a situation where two women got into some type of physical altercation, and one of the women's 10-year-old daughter pulled out a weapon from her purse and shot the other person.
Whoa.
And the district attorney is trying to charge the 10-year-old as an adult.
Really?
I mean, yeah, that's some dirtbag
Wow.
shit. So, but
Yeah.
how do you prevent something like that from happening? Like, what type of
That's an education.
teaching?
That's like my 10-year-old is never going to be put in a position to be pulling a trigger, you know. So little O is not going to, even right now, unless I tell him, hey, go ahead into the safe and this is what you're going to do. He knows he's not supposed to be touching any of that stuff, right?
So let me just get back to the women's situation. So the two women were having an argument, or there was a physical.
They were fist fighting.
So the 10-year-old thought, okay, it's a defensive move. See, that situation is a pretty cluster F right there. You know, like because the kid already has a weapon in the purse now, since it's available there, and the 10-year-old's processing, hey, and I guess it was the mother who was having the fight.
Yeah.
And she made a defensive move. Forget the district attorney; those bastards will do whatever they want to do. But it's a situation you, me, anybody can just sit here and talk about. You got to be there in it.
Yeah, that's right.
And what's happening?
That's fair enough.
Yep.
So, yeah,
That's correct.
I actually got to look into that. I guess I missed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about that case.
That's fair. That's fair, Saint. That's fair. You guys want to get into the crystal ball?
Go for it.
Rizke, you start off, man.
Well, I think as far as gun regulation goes, I think given the polarized climate in this country, I don't see any regulation happening. I mean, actually, I should say, actually, there was some minor legislation.
You see it with such depression.
I mean, actually, yeah, I don't see anything really happening as far as regulation goes. But I would say that proper gun safety and the Big O's tips, like the ones that he told people, I would encourage people to, like, if you're going to have a gun, really respect it. You know, you have to respect the gun, and you have to respect what it can do. That it can, you know, it can take someone's life potentially, and you have to at a minimum practice proper gun safety. And in cases where, like, maybe there's deaths involved where proper gun safety was not involved, maybe those people should face some legal responsibility, you know? Like, I mean, the right wing loves to talk about personal responsibility, except when it comes to them. Anyways, move on.
No, you damn Skippy.
Yeah.
Big O, final thoughts?
Well, I piggyback on the gun safety thing. I think that's very important. I also think it's important to keep a free and fair society. We need to have weapons. I'm not going to outsource my protection to anybody else except myself. So I think those type of weapons that they're trying to ban is essential.
Yeah. My final thoughts are, or like, I guess, future. Well, what I think is going to happen in the future and what should happen. You know, like we have to be nuanced enough in the country to understand that certain places need firearms and certain places don't. There's a cultural difference between South Dakota and San Francisco. And we have to treat each county and each city separately. Like I said earlier, though, guns don't respect regulation. They're going to cross anyways. So perhaps laws like stop and frisk in New York City, I mean, there's so many problems with laws like that, but how do you keep out weapons, how do you keep out firearms from large cities where they really have no place being? Some of the first gun regulation laws were where in cities, to prevent bystanders from being killed. Like, how do you? There's so many things to think about. If you allow everybody to have a concealed carry and there's some type of conflict or violence, how do you protect the bystander from being shot? How do you protect somebody from who's driving on the highway in Florida, where two people and this has literally happened in Florida on the highway, people start shooting at each other, out of their vehicles, and it was legit. One guy was protecting himself. Like, how do you protect the person who's driving, being shot by somebody who's has beef with somebody on the side? How do you protect a mother who's walking home in a bad neighborhood who's shot as a bystander? There's so many. Like, we do want to protect the Second Amendment and everybody's right to own firearms, but how do you protect the bystander who has nothing to do with the conflict to begin with? And then on the other side, some of the earliest gun regulation laws were against African Americans after the Civil War, because the ex-Confederates did not want African Americans to own weapons because they didn't want them to be able to protect themselves from tyranny. So I've always say that oppression and tyranny leads to more oppression and more tyranny. So maybe this is a self-fulfilling prophecy that we've created in the U.S. to begin with. So that's my final thoughts. Saint, what you got for us?
Maybe we can just eat some Swiss cheese and feel a little better, at least. But no, I'm just gonna pretty much echo everything you all said. It's a very complex issue. If you look at the United States, you got to look at it. There's like, give or take, 52 different countries in one place. All right, state to state, the way everything behaves. So it's just imagine how chaotic the world is, and yet we can still hold on to the 52 states here and make any sanity out of it. But as a Floridian, I do like our gun laws. At least they're pretty decent comparative to a lot of places, and so yeah, I guess I'm going to be staying in Florida for quite a bit.
And before we end, I also want to remind the viewers, please, we're on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. Spread the love, not the hate. Put comments, subscribe, share it with your friends. We have an official YouTube channel.
I gotta add
Please
to
comment,
that too,
share.
because Riz is the only one who always says that. So yeah, to our listeners, please, if you like the video and would like to see more content, please subscribe and give us a like or comment and say what you want to hear, or have us talk about what kind of a topic. And if you're interested to be a guest on our show, you can email us through the channel or leave a comment and we'll get in touch with you.
Yep. Today's podcast was brought to you by Khalas Energy Drink. One drink and Khalas. If you guys noticed, Big O was drinking it. Also, stay fresh, Lota. Oh. Stay fresh, Lota. Stay fresh. Our third sponsor was the Big Brown Deck Barbecue in Brantford, Florida. Come on down. Eating's good. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right. Peace out.
All right. Thank you.